When I was a child, I would roll very violently back and forth for like 30 seconds at a time. Nobody could explain why I did that. Things like that, things like, being a bit socially awkward, for example. This is literally true, I got my master's degree before I learned to tie my shoelaces. I have been absolutely obsessed with Harry Potter. That sort of thing is very much something that autistic people do. I had drawn up spreadsheets to show my GP of, how many of the symptoms that I ticked off. I showed them him, and he said, look, Johnson, just the fact you've sat down and drawn up these spreadsheets suggests to me that you're autistic. I wasn't brought up with any faith. Our parents didn't have us christened. Certainly my parents never, encouraged me to pray or anything like that. I just sort of assumed, that it was perfectly obvious that the whole thing was a load of nonsense.
Anne was then given a Bible at school, which she read along with religious books like Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis.
And I remember being really impressed by that and thinking, I actually can't come up with a rebuttal to any of this. I spent decades feeling quite uncomfortable, thinking to myself, it kind of does rather look, doesn't it, as if this stuff is true, and not knowing how to do anything about it, because it was a family in which one just did not have that conversation. I would say my faith is quite sort of intellectual, quite academic. It's a head thing and not so much a heart thing. That's because being autistic, I'm not terribly in touch with my feelings and don't entirely trust them. I've always had the issue of struggling with the whole idea of a sort of personal relationship with Jesus or with God. I'm not really even sure that I'm having personal relationships with people when they're right there in the room. I'd say my faith is very important. I make a point of ensuring that I can go to church every Sunday. I'm sorry, I need to go to a Catholic Mass, performed by a Catholic priest. I believe that Jesus was the Son of God, but I think, see how his dying on the cross redeemed us. And if we just kind of lay hold of that faith, then I can see how we can be saved.